Okay, so we're going to start. Welcome to another Fiction Express webinar. My name is Maria, and today we will talk about the alignment of Fiction Express with international qualifications such as Cambridge and IB. Just to share very quickly the information about the series of back to school webinars. It's Friday. You will probably hear all week, hopefully. These are the webinars that we have launched to help schools and teachers get the most out of Fiction Expressed. You might know already that the platform has many functionalities, and each day we cover a different topic. So Mondays, we talked about how Fiction Express works and how to use it. On Tuesday, we talked about the admin panel and how to manage teacher, classes, and students. Wednesday was dedicated to curriculum alignment. We talked about the reading comprehension, the written expression, and ORC, going through all the common objectives. Thursday is for tracking and how to obtain data from the platform and how to use it. For instruction. And finally, on Friday, which is today, we will talk about the different international qualification and the specific alignment with them. Remember that these webinars are focused on how to use the platform. Some people have been subscribing for a long time. Some are just barely starting, and some are in a free trial period. So if you have any questions about how the subscription work and prices or anything like that, please feel free to ask your contact person. Today, we will focus on how to use the platform and how to get the most out of it. All our webinars are 20 to 30 minutes long, and then we take a look at the questions at the end. If you have questions during the webinar, just feel free to use the Q&A function that you find below. We thank you for being here, and let's start talking about international qualifications. So with Fiction Express, we want to work globally and cohesively all the dimensions of language with the goal that each student masters the learning language, which is English. So developing different abilities and skills through this process might or always starts with reading, right, as the first activity. So we have to start with the reading. Meaning that all our cycles will be first working on the receptive stage of language. So everything starts from the reading comprehension. It could also be oral comprehension if we use the audiobook, but it's usually just the reading of the book that we start with. So then we move into a more productive stage where the use of language through all the oral and written expression activities is developed. And then we finally get to that interaction that we desire to see, that we want to see happening in the classroom, where all the domains of language are in use. On Wednesday this week, we talked about all the linguistic development process and how each of the activities in the platform or all the activities that we provide teachers with align to the reading comprehension, the written expression, and the ORC. So if you haven't been on the Wednesday webinar, I suggest you take a look at next Wednesday because it's very aligned with what we are going to do today. So today I will identify these opportunities that we see on the screen and throughout the steps of the platform and of our methodology. So in addition to develop language skills, we also seek to develop these attributes in our readers. So starting from the idea that language is deeply related to culture and identity, we want to foster the development of cultural awareness in our learners. We want to help them develop this international mindset. So most of the activities proposed help develop this critical thinking. We want them to really own the learning and the process that they're going through. And we also want them to be digitally responsible, all through the language development. So while they work on developing and mastering communication skills and all the linguistic abilities that we work with, we provide them with a digital environment that is secure and is controlled, so they can just focus on strengthening the digital citizenship and all the attributes that you see now on the screen. So with the activities and everything that we do, we intend to create readers who are thinkers, who are making connections between the story that they're reading and their personal experience, but also with the real world that's around them. We want them to be explorers and inquirers. We want them to ask questions. This is what it's all about. We want them to be, curious thinkers. So we want them to ask the questions, to not just, don't hold things back. We want them to research. If they see something in a book they're reading and they want to expand that knowledge and they want to do research about that specific topic, we want them to feel like they can do it. We want them to be caring and reflective. And this is about giving opinions, but also arguing, being able to understand that they might be in front of something that, or someone that have a different opinion, and it's okay. And that through the dialogue and the steps to hold a dialogue, they can actually get a lot of information from a conversation like that. And also just to justify their points of view, which we do work on the argumentative side of things, how to give arguments and how to hold their views through a dialogue, through a discussion, through a conversation. We also want them to be open-minded, and be respectful of different perspectives, which is very connected to these caring and reflective attributes. We want them to be good communicators. We want them to use the ideas in a thoughtful manner, be aware of the audience, but also the register that they need to use, how to say the things in an appropriate way. Who are they talking to? Do they have to change the way they say things? And then last but not least, we want them to be digitally appropriate. So through this week of webinars, you've probably seen this chart already. This is our 6 steps methodology that we do weekly with all the activities that we have when we release the book. So with doing this every week, we want them to have established routines so the students really feel comfortable doing the activities that we propose, but also to become an active learner of this process. So the goal is to help them be independent and to have autonomy throughout the process. The teacher then is there to measure and monitor all the performance and the learning progress. And then at the same time, because we provide teachers with all of these activities to do, most of the time they have to choose and pick what is appropriate for the needs of the learners. And then we also have the authors, who not only get many children to read, but they also engage them in this creative dialogue that happens in the forum. In the following slides, I will share with you how each of these steps correlates to specific students' attributes and the linguistic development that we propose. So because I mentioned that we have reading at the starting point, we are going to start with the books. So our books follow the themes that you see on the screen, and they cover these 4 cross-curricular themes. The books help us with reading comprehension, and I just want to point that all the linguistic abilities and the attributes of the learner that we will review on each of the steps will be always on the left of the screen, so you can kind of follow along. But through the books, we work the reading comprehension, the oral comprehension, we work grammar, we work vocabulary, and then also the oral interaction when we open up these discussions about the books. And then the attributes that we work, we want them to be inquirers, curious thinkers, open-minded, and reflective. So these 4 themes that we have, we categorize the books based on these attributes that also help us seek that development of a global mindset, exposing our children, our students to these topics, and working on cultural differences support us in developing reliable and ethical students with a point of view that they will really defend and justify. And then these things, they're going to use them in real life. The themes of our books are divided into 4 groups. We can see them here. We have experiences, identities and relationship, sharing the planet, and social organization and human ingenuity. So all the tags that you see here under each column, you can filter our books through these 4 cross-curricular themes. So yes, our books are organized by levels, as you probably know. And the levels are according to the reading ability that they have. With the books, our readers not only develop the reading comprehension, but also work on written comprehension, because from the reading that they work from different authors and different genres, then they have to start creating all these writing activities. And they also use the books. They can observe the author craft and how did the author express these ideas, and then they can later use that on their own writing. All the books that we have are original works, and they're written in their native language. So we don't have any books that are translations or adaptation. Each story is different and is created for the specific group level. So you won't find the same book on a level 1 and a level 3, for example. This allows us to really work on the diversity of language through the levels, but also to be working on different subjects. So that's why all the books are really, really different. And then the books change every 5 weeks, allowing us to work on many subjects within the same period of time. And then it's worth mentioning also that all the texts follow curriculum requirements for that specific level. So the grammar and the vocabulary are adapted to the level of the book. Okay. We continue with voting. The voting system allows the pupils to really interact with readers that have a different way of thinking. Once they decide which option they're voting for, which takes time because it involves reflection, and they have to really find how they're going to support their idea, right, or their decision while working the book and understanding the theme. They really have to come out with this idea of which is the option that I'm going to choose, which one is the best for the continuation of the book. And within the same classroom, we might have students that belong to different cultural backgrounds. So they really have to think about what are they going to choose, how they're going to defend it, how are they going to explain to other people why they're choosing that option. If they individually vote, it's really a 1-minute process. They go and they vote. But most of the teachers that I work with on a daily basis, they open the discussion of the voting choices, and they really use this activity to foster and to open up a really safe place where children can really express their ideas and opinions about the book. They might use their personal experience to choose an option. They might choose an experience from someone they know, and then submitting their choice and debating about it and justifying it. They have to really respond to the situation in a very interactive way, because it's a discussion, it's a debate. Also, it sets a really good idea on how to argue in a safe way, and they don't have to agree with the person in front of them, but they can do it in a respectful way. So teaching and modeling all this is really important for our learners. Then we have the quiz. In the quiz, it is a way of checking the understanding of the story. It's not a formal assessment, but it's a way of monitoring the understanding of the text and extract evidence from it. It is a reading comprehension tool, and we also work here the digital citizens, because it's a virtual tool, and they have to really ask questions about it, and they have to understand the story in order to go through this step. Students can also access the text during the quiz, and even though it collects just literal comprehension or literal evidence, because they have to go back and find it in the text, we encourage our learners to investigate and critically think about their answers. They have to take into account the context clues, the language used, the expression used by the author. There's no inferential type of questions, but they still need to figure that out, because more activities are coming that will get that into the process of understanding the text. I also know of teachers that allow the audiobook to be used during this step to support diverse learning needs. So I know that it says reading comprehension there, but we could also add the oral comprehension to the skill developed here during this process. So we did cover the books, the voting, and the quiz, and we're going to move on to the forum. Here, pupils respond to the questions posed by the author, and they have to do it in an argumentative way, but also in a reflective way. They have to face the opinion of other students who also use Fiction Express. So here we want to teach them how to respect and accept different perspectives, also while working on a digital environment. So don't forget that we're still working on that on that attribute. As the skill develop here, we have written expression, and then we have digital citizens, open-minded, caring, reflective, and good communicators. So here we, in the forum, we invite teachers to use the rules that we provide, that you can see them here, because they're there for them to use, but we also encourage students to come up with their own rules to make this a safe and appropriate place for everybody. So if they can think of a rule that is not there, but it's appropriate for their group, for their class, then they're more, they, of course, that they can add it to the list of rules that we provide. Those that we have are just a few examples. So here they will find comments of learners that think just like them, but there are also comments of learners that don't think like them, and they have to learn how to be open-minded about the things that they read. So that attribute it happens all the time, like it's developed all the time here during the forum. While expressing themselves in the forum, but they do it in a writing form, they also have to make good choices regarding who am I talking to? Am I replying to another student? Am I talking directly to the author? So they have to really see how they use the correct register while they use the forum. And then we also, here I'm just showing an example of a comment in a forum and then the author replying, because this is what the forum is about. We want them to know that they're talking to a professional author, and that this participation will have an impact on the book and in the creation of the story. So this is something that the author is reading, is replying to. So knowing that their idea might be used for a future chapter also helps them with how they communicate their idea. So they had to really develop this attribute about being good communicators. So we're teaching something very important here. Also, the way the forum is structured helps them communicate in a variety of styles. From the teacher side of the platform, they can see what type of question or what type of answer we're looking for. So the authors post a question, which we can always see here, but then the teachers can see what type of text we're looking for. So sometimes it's persuasive, sometimes it's descriptive, sometimes it's narrative. Sometimes they have to really connect to a personal experience. So this is with the intention of making it meaningful, but also relevant and something that they want to write about. And how they communicate that idea to the author takes time. And it's an attribute that we really want to develop here in the forum. Okay, moving on. So the projects and activities that we have in the platform. So all of these are pre-planned activities to really extend the idea and the topic of the book, always keeping in mind that we're using the linguistic development and that we are really deepening all the skills that we have. We're here. So you can see through the projects and activities, we have all linguistic competences and all the learner attributes. So everything that I show you at the beginning, super important to try to find the time to complete the projects that we have for the books and also the activities. They are cross-curricular, so we try to connect the idea and the theme of the book to as many subjects as we can. Sometimes they have to do geography, sometimes they have to develop and create a news report. Sometimes they have to use art, technology, and so on. So as many subjects, sometimes they have to use math here too, even though this is about language and literacy. They are presented as weekly learning situations designed to extend the opportunities of using language and develop literacy skills. With the projects, they continue working on the communication skills. They work collaboratively, so the interaction and the research and everything that they had to work, the arguments and the find of consensus, because it's a group of students working together that might not agree each on each other, so they have to really talk about and find the way to work together and do something that everybody's happy with. And also we try to give them sets activities where they can really work on this problem solving skill that is so much needed. So very, very important, the activities and the projects to work, not just all the literacy skills and the linguistic competencies, but also find time for the projects to continue working on the attributes that I show you at the beginning. And then we have the book review, which we know that they can access the book review once they finish all 5 chapters of the book. There won't be a book review if they don't read the whole book. We want them to be responsible about this. And this is something that we encourage them to do because we want them to form the opinion of the book. And it has to be cohesive and it has to be structured the way they write it. And we want them to be argumentative. It has to be argumentative, even though it's something that the teacher can grade and the teacher will give put a mark there for the student to see. The author also uses this, but most importantly is how we teach them to organize their thoughts about the book that they just read and give a very clear opinion about it. They might not love the book, but they still have to write a good book review that shows clearly what they think about it. Or they might love the book, which will make the task easier, but still getting involved in the book review and finding the way to organize and put everything in a clear way. So of course, good communicators will be here. We want them to learn how to convey the message that they want to send to the author. We want them to be digitally appropriate. We want them to be caring and reflective. They can say they don't like the book, but how do they say it? And how do they say it? And hopefully they say they love the books. And also be reflective about it. Just find the facts and the ideas that they need in order to send that message through. So moving to more, what is the alignment with Cambridge and IB? I know that we work with a lot of schools that have these international qualifications. I'm going to start with Cambridge. We work with schools that have not only the framework, but they also work on Cambridge examinations. So with the framework, going through the primary and secondary stage, framework, which I always refer to as the Cambridge pathway also. Students going through the pathway fully benefit from the activities in our platform. They continuously build content and language skills through every step that they go through. So here I have the first 4 are 4 of the subjects. I know Cambridge has 10 subjects, but these are 4 of them that are perfectly aligned to what we do. So the first one that I have is English for the primary and lower secondary years, working on the reading, writing, speaking, and listening, which obviously we cover and we do throughout the platform. And then for English as a second language, same group ages, but here we add the use of English. So all the part of the interactive glossary and find expressions and ideas that the author is using in the book, completing the grammar activities that we propose that we have on the activities packet as well. And then we move to digital literacy, also for primary and lower secondary. And here we have the tools and creation and content creation, safety and well-being, which is an attribute that we work throughout the cycles that we offer, and then the digital world. We have a digital tool, so we do cover that from you know from the start. And then we have the global perspectives through the themes of the books and the oral interactions, and being able to work collaboratively and do the research, teach them how to logically think about the things that they want to communicate. We foster critical thinking when completing all the activities and the projects. We encourage them to present recent explanations when they write in the forum, when they write the book review, and also understand what they're writing about and understand the implication that that outcome will have once they post it, or once they write about it. And then we have the students that are preparing for the advanced level, taking examinations like IGCSE or the A-level tests that involve all of the things that I mentioned: research, collaboration, um, the independent writing, being active learners in the process, and understanding all these ideas that we propose through the themes of the books. So this shows how the platform is aligned, not only working again with the linguistic competencies and forming that, mastering that learning language, but also working on the attributes of the learners that we work with. And then finally, we have the IB programs, which share with fiction the goal of creating an international mindset, but also to develop a student that is culturally aware and to help them acquire the skills that they can use as citizens of this century. The methodology that we propose establishes connections with the global context, as I mentioned before, through all the cross-curricular themes that we have on our books. And through the tags that we propose in the books, we encourage several lines of inquiry, so they can be really explorers and curious thinkers about what they're doing. So all of this happens through all the programs of the IB. So as you can see, we cover the programs that we have here. We work with PYP, MYP, and diploma through the subjects that you see there. So language acquisition, language A and language B, language and literature, and the global contexts. All the assessment criteria for these subjects are listed there. So reading and writing, speaking and listening, the interpretation, analysis, and use of language. So this is, now it starts to sound repetitive because we cover all of this through this presentation, but I wanted you to see that the assessment criteria and the things that have to be covered in these subjects are things that we cover through the process and through the cycles that we have with Fiction Express. And that's pretty much everything I have. So I'm going to open it up for questions if you have any. And just to remind you that if you have any more questions, or if you later today you think of a question for us, you can always email us at support@fictionexpress.com. And I think we can wait to see if we have any questions. Well, I just want to share one more time this slide of the attributes that we want to see in our learners. So you can take a look at this one more time. Thank you for staying on a Friday afternoon with us. And I don't see any questions coming in, so I think we are just going to stop here. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoy this week, and happy reading.